Cyrus, Middle MAGA, we're here. We're going live. I have a very good show planned, and I want to start out by saying another tragedy. It's just another tragedy. I think this is in Maine, I believe. I apologize. I have not done any research on this. I was actually in a live where they were doing it was raw alerts. I believe it was the news raw alerts on X, and they were doing an excellent job covering this. So I was really kind of just engrossed in their covers. They were doing the detailed breakdown of the terrain of, I believe it's Maine. I'm not even going to look it up. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but it's on my mind. I mean, it's something that we will need to unpack. That's for sure. Thanks for joining. My thoughts today are revolving around multiple things, but I still have trouble trying to unpack how did we get here? How did we get to the point where that we've got all of these issues, and then on top of that, we've got the threat of nuclear war and World War III. Just not there's no exaggeration of these things. These are legitimate threats to the nation, our military, and no one has a clear answer as to why it's happening. There's a lot of emotions going on. There's a ton of emotions going on. There's not a lot of answers as to why we're doing this. And I think part of what's happened is that our news cycle goes so quickly that we don't take a second to unpack how we got here, how long did it take, how do we get out of it. There's no unpacking of it. And this is what got me on the topic. The news that came out this morning, I saw this, that we're playing, when I said that we're playing Risk, we're playing Battleship, we're playing Risk. Cannon Hotep, man, it's been a minute because I haven't done the morning lives. I would see you. Cannon Hotep, long time no see your chat, great friend of the show. And yeah, it's disorienting. You wake up and you're like, oh, okay, what's going on with the news today? What's going on? I mean, we're hearing stuff about Dwight Howard, and we're hearing this, and then we're hearing that. But then you got to acknowledge that they're sending warships over there. This is war. They're not sending all these carriers and ships and all this artillery over there for no reason.
On these
at least 13 attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria.
Between October 17th and the 24th, U.S. and coalition forces have been attacked at least 10 separate times in Iraq and 3 separate times in Syria via a mix of one-way attack drones and rockets. So again, those are the initial numbers. We're continuing to work to CENTCOM to ensure we get you the facts on these.
These at least 13 attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria. Do you believe that Iran is responsible for these? Were these all conducted by Iranian-backed proxies?
Well, I think we've been pretty clear on this, and my colleagues at the White House yesterday talked about this as well. We know that the groups conducting these attacks are supported by the IRGC and the Iranian regime. What we are seeing is the prospect for more significant escalation against U.S. forces.
What kind of games are these people playing? Where do you play a game where you're getting into a fight and you know it's really the other dude over there, and you are still just off on these side missions? I mean, we're helping Iran. Where do we stand with that? I mean, money, it's the deal. We're doing a deal with them. And this started from a while back. I mean, this started under Trump. Then Trump reneged on it. Then Biden looks like he went back in it. And where do we stand with this? We're funding Iran. We're funding, at one point, Hamas. And we're still giving money, $100 million, I believe, to the Palestinians who are basically in that area ruled by Hamas. And then now we're trying to fund Israel. Where are we putting our money? Is this all a game to y'all?
And personnel across the region in the very near term coming from Iranian proxy forces and ultimately from Iran. So by virtue of our announcement over the weekend We are preparing for this escalation both in terms of defending our forces and responding decisively. And I just want to emphasize the point that I made earlier, which is that we always reserve the right to defend ourselves, and we will never hesitate to take action when needed to protect our forces and our interests overseas.
But why are we over there? Are we just over there to protect the oil? That's what we're over there for? Then
So
say
to be
it.
clear, we have significant capabilities in the theater right now, right? I mean, you've got the Ford that's in the Eastern Mediterranean. You've got an expanded number of fighter aircraft throughout the region, in addition to the naval assets that are already in the Central Command AOR. So there should be no confusion whether or not we have the ability to respond to any potential threats right now. The announcement over the weekend, as it highlighted, is intended to enhance those capabilities and sustain those capabilities for as long as we may need in order to continue to both deter and protect our troops. Since that Hamas terrorist attack, we've also been crystal clear that we do not want to see the situation in Israel widen into a broader regional conflict. And as you've heard President Biden, Secretary Austin, and other senior U.S. leaders say, our message to any country or group thinking about trying to take advantage of this situation to widen the conflict is don't.
Was that born off of the incompetence of the commander-in-chief in a 60 Minutes interview where he can't articulate himself, so he says don't. And then I forgot the name of the 60 Minutes guy. He basically answers the question for him. Well, don't. They asked him, well, what's the message for those in the region? His answer was don't. And then the 60 Minutes anchor had to answer the question for him, and then Biden said yes. And it almost looks like he led the way with the don't, and they are trying to play off of that. That's smooth. That's a peep game. That's smooth.
For group thinking about trying to take advantage of this situation.
So now it makes it sound like he's not incompetent. It was like that was the simple message. That's good. That's good. I like that.
Thinking about trying to take advantage of this situation to widen the conflict is don't. We've already deployed a significant number of additional U.S. military capabilities into the region to bolster our regional deterrence efforts, strengthen our capabilities there, and enhance our ability to respond to a range of contingencies. In addition to the capabilities that we've already announced, I can also confirm that the New Jersey Air National Guard's 119th Expeditionary Fighter Squadron arrived within U.S. Central Command's area of responsibility today, with additional F-16 Fighting Falcon Squadron bolstering U.S. posture to deter further aggression in the region. Again, it is our aim to avoid any regional expansion of Israel's conflict with Hamas, but we stand ready and prepared to protect and defend our partners and our interests, and will act to do so. Finally, in terms of force protection, the message is simple. As Secretary Austin has consistently made clear, we will take all necessary measures to defend our troops and our interests overseas.
Yeah, and Secretary Austin is former board of Raytheon, I believe it is. Is it Raytheon? I forget which one it is. Lloyd Austin, our Secretary of Defense, was formerly on the board of Raytheon, was on the board of directors of a defense contractor. And they want to play games with lives and money. They want to play with people's money. And I wanted to go back, and this is just a little piece here about Biden, starting with Afghanistan. But in recent times, the state of American governance under President Joe Biden has been likened to a play with numerous acts of incompetence, repugnant behavior, and corruption taking center stage. Each day unfolds like a bitter script where the actors on the political stage seem to outdo their previous performances in showcasing a lack of leadership and integrity. And that's what we just watched there with that press conference. That's from the press corps as well. Just a complete lack of integrity. We don't hear any type of question that has meaning and then follow up to test where they are. They'd be much better if they fielded questions from people online. It would be so much better. Like, what do real people want to know about this? The journalists are not getting at that. The Biden administration, which took the reins with, believe it or not, promise of unity. That was a big thing, and it didn't really say that too much anymore because nobody's going to really buy that. But Bidenomics is not a good sell either. But he promised unity when he came into office, and then also Build Back Better. How's that going? Let's take a look. Let me check in. It's Build Back Better. Let's check in on how Build Back Better is going. I think there's an article here that we can look at. Let's see how people are living right now as we build back better. There's a headline here, and it's going to show you basically the issues. People are living out of their car. That's kind of where we're at. Via the New York Times headline, when a car is affordable housing and more. Excuse me? Wait, what? So we have someone sleeping out of their car. How's that going so far for you? Sleeping out of their car with, it looks like some type of pit mix in the back seat. I'm sure that smells lovely. You know how that pet smell can be, even if that dog is taken care of as well as possible. I'm sure that the odor is wonderful inside that vehicle. So this is what we're having here. We're celebrating this weekend. I took my kids. We were playing football, doing soccer, and all that. And I did have a flashback. I had a flashback to, there was a time when I was sleeping out of my car for a little bit. I got my first job. And it's kind of like this 9 to 5. I'm going to play a 9 to 5 video way later if you can catch it. But a video about somebody who this young lady started their 9 to 5 and got in that grind. Started that 9 to 5 when I was younger, got in that grind. I was doing it. I was doing pretty well. And then it's just like, man, it was wearing on me, the grind. I wasn't in tune with you got to take a vacation, you got to take a break. And I was going hard too. It wasn't really 9 to 5. I was working way more than that because I wanted to be the best. And it came crashing down, and I was like, man, and then I just quit the job, ran through all my savings, didn't have anything for it. And then ended up just for a week, but living in my car. Then after that, went to Craigslist and got a house with like 4 other dudes. And, it was like a pretty big house, but just stayed in the room, had a, shared common area, and then saved my money. I was actually playing poker, believe it or not. Online poker back then was huge. Full tilt poker. I don't know if they still do it because I think they cut it down. Looking back, it's kind of stupid because all that stuff to me, I don't know. Allegedly, I mean, if you're doing online poker, then the house can really rig that pretty good. But I'm not saying that I knew that for sure. But that's a stupid venue. Looking back, I loved it. It was fun. But the point I'm bringing it up is I actually made a little bit of money playing online poker. Just complete. I remember some of the poker hands this is from 2000. I mean, this is before 2010. This is like 2008, maybe even more, older than that. And I might not remember how the whole hand played out, but I remember the river. I remember one time I went all in on the river. It was a smart all in. It wasn't like one of these. I took it down to a science. Well, I was a math major, so the game theory came to me. I lost all that stuff. I don't use it anymore, but I could pick it up quickly. But it was a smart all in. I forgot the order, but I went all in with, believe it or not, I don't remember if it was the same suit or not, but it was Ace King. And the board was set up perfectly for me. I definitely didn't have a flush. But I went all in because I had it. I knew I had the best hand, but I didn't know if somebody had. I think there was a possibility of a full house or something. And then a couple other people came all in too. I forgot what they had. I think somebody had a lower straight or something like that. There were some bad moves in there, but I cleared that. Usually you split those pots or something weird happens. I won the whole pot. That thing was like $9,000. I was like, damn, I was in my room. I was getting rib tips from I don't have a good memory, especially back in '08. I was getting rib tips from a place out there. I was in Michigan. I think I was in Royal Oak at that time, and just outside of Detroit suburb. And I remember I was like, yeah. But the way the poker works is it fluctuated, so lost some of that, won that back, and then I was like, I'm out of this, man. I just got to take my. Before you get to these higher tables where you got these real sharks, they will destroy you. But that was crazy times. But this is not to make fun of anybody living out of their car. This is to look at where are we at? Where is our focus? Crystal Audette tried to get comfortable in what she called her bedroom. Bruh, this is on the New York Times. They're normalizing living out of your car. The backseat of her 8-year-old Ford Fusion to stretch her legs. She had to leave a passenger door ajar. But September nights are raw in the Pacific Northwest, and when I was it was the fall time. It was probably around this time when I was doing it because it wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold, but you knew that cold was about to come. You can't run the car all night. And back then, hospital parking lots were good. I forget where else I was at, but hospital parking lots were probably the best. And like it wasn't like months or anything, so I don't want to act like it's almost like you did like you didn't even do a month in prison or something like that. You acted like you did 10 years. So I'm not going to try and front, but it was for a little bit, and I will never forget it. So she's stretching her legs. The door is open from her own bedroom. This is how they start the article. This is a real article. I'm on New York Times right now. From her own bedroom, in quotes, in the front seat, her 26-year-old daughter, I might even have a hard time reading that, to be honest with you. Sierra asked her to close it. Ms. Audette, 49, earns over $72,000 a year as a social worker for the Washington State Department of Social Health Services, and we're going to need to stop because that's a significant amount of money. And she's choosing to live in an area where, just due to the economic environment, inflation, you look at that 72K figure, and if you look at back when I was in my oh my goodness, if I would have came up to a 72 a year, I mean, if I come up to 72 a year now, but if I would have really came up on a 72 a year back then, I would have been out here fooling. Oh, I would have been fooling, man. I would have been, back then I was at the bar doing hip hop stuff. I've been like drinks on me and 72 a year, but with inflation and other stuff, and then especially if you have a kid, yeah. But a combination of bad luck, bad debt, and bad credit score priced her out of an apartment in Bellevue, a suburb of Seattle. That's a beautiful area out there. One of the most expensive housing markets in the country, with an eviction looming. That's what happened with me. She put her furniture in storage this spring and began parking the sedan in a U-shaped parking lot outside a church in Kirkland. Around the country, real estate is being set aside for people like Ms. Audette in the form of parking lots. They dot the spine of the Pacific Northwest, providing a safe harbor for a growing cohort of working Americans who are wedged in the unforgiving middle. They earn too little to afford rent, but too much to receive government assistance, and have turned their cars into a form of affordable housing. That's a problem. You should not be living out of your car while the administration and those in power are looking to spend money to fight a war 7,000 miles away. Why do I have to tell you this? And I'm not you guys. I just have to get that out. I do have to tell Miss Audette that. I do have to tell some of these people. Miss Audette, is she resting up before she goes to, and I'm just using her as an example. Maybe she's a Trump supporter. But hypothetically, are some of them, let's get away from Ms. Audette, are some of them in the parking lot resting up before they go on to their pro-Palestinian rally, where they're rallying for a Semite 7,000 miles away in the Great Semite War, and they're sleeping out of their car? I'm not saying that the government is here to give you a handout. I'm saying something's absolutely wrong in the governance of this country. If you make $72,000 a year and you're like, damn, sleeping out of the car is that's the deal. And that should be common sense. You shouldn't let a one issue abortion rights. Who gives a damn about an abortion right when you don't have a place to stay? But that's kind of the situation we find ourselves in. The Biden administration, which took the reins with promises of all this unity and love and all of that, we all know now there's just complete bull, now finds itself entangled in a web of controversies and missteps that continue to plummet the nation. And my takeaway is a nation has never reflected the repugnancy, the disgustingness, the decrepit, the pedophilia, the abhorrent, the senile behavior of a leader, at least that I know of, than our country, the United States of America, right now. But we are seeing a turnaround where we are seeing that. I think there's an energy that I want to tap into that is saying no more. No mas. This is the man that we are entrusting to get us into a war with Iran while we can't even afford peace. This is what happened. Remember the fall of Kabul?
They're just chanting death to America, but they seem friendly at the same time. It's utterly bizarre. They're just chanting death to America, but they seem friendly at the same time. It's utterly bizarre. And
They're
the president
just chanting death to America, but they seem friendly? You look scared to death. Don't lie to me. You're looking, and you should be. You're turned around looking like, damn it, what's going to happen? Look at her. Don't worry. Everyone, don't worry. They're just chanting death to America. Jesus. The propaganda, the narratives are falling quickly.
Palace, the Taliban are now guarding the gate. They say they're here to fill the vacuum left when the government fled. But the welcoming spirit only extends so far, and my presence soon creates tension.
It's because of you.
They've just told me to stand to the side because I'm a woman.
I want to be clear in how I
want to be clear.
This is
Mostly appropriate, mostly.
It is not
No.
generally speaking unruly.
It's not unruly.
Fires have been started, and there's a crowd that. I want to be clear.
You have to laugh to keep from crying. I think that's what that kind of laugh was. And moreover, what we see now is a border crisis while we're going to war. The people from some of the countries or the region that we're going to war with could easily come to this country, easily could be here already, waiting for orders or anything like that. I'm not saying that did happen or is happening. It's just a possibility, and I think we should probably want to work hard. It's impossible to make it, 100%, but let's try at least for our safety. Moreover, this curtain rose on the next act with the unfolding border crisis. Remember when the good old days when Kamala Harris was in charge of that? When's the last time you heard her in charge of anything with the border? Now, we know she didn't want it. She was pissed off. I don't blame her. She's like, okay, you got me because I'm a black person. Put that in quotes, black American. And you give me the worst possible job because we all know we want the borders open, and then you put me in charge of closing the borders. You set me up to fail. You set me up, bruh. So she was really upset about that. And it kind of hurt her. I think that hurt her with her stumbling and bumbling. She never was able to break through that. The administration's lackadaisical approach towards securing the nation's borders. This part here is me reading from what I wrote with ChatGPT. I have not put this on the website yet, but I will. Go to middlemaga.com. In an unprecedented surge of migrants stretching resources thin and igniting a humanitarian and security crisis at the southern border. Humanitarian crises seems to be a theme. So humanitarian crises in the Middle East and Afghanistan and now, and then here at home as well with the border and elsewhere. The inability to formulate and implement a coherent immigration policy showcases a dereliction of duty that's hard to overlook. There's probably 20 different things. I'm not exaggerating. I did a video a while back. It probably wasn't put together the best, but this is years ago, I think. Well, it was a little bit after Afghanistan for sure, where I went through everything that I said by itself should be an impeachable offense. Just look, the calling concerned parents. This is Joe Biden this is his administration, calling concerned parents domestic terrorists. That was a thing. We already forgot about that. Just showed you Afghanistan, the southern border, all of those individually. I don't want him impeached, don't get me wrong, because it's not bipartisan. It's like it should be obvious. There shouldn't have to be a call for it. There should be, if it doesn't happen, people should be in the streets for that, not Palestine. So I don't want it. If it's that hard for you to understand that you sleeping in your car while Afghanistan concerned parents are terrorists, the inflation's still out of control, and that's not all his fault, but some of the pricing and supply issues did go back to him. The increased pricing, which is different than the money supply, which Biden does own. All of those things, if you don't, I don't think it's worth impeaching him or even trying to. Senator John Kennedy destroyed this immigration panel only like Senator John Kennedy can.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Morant, since President Biden's been president, how many non-American citizens have come into our country illegally or on the basis of a claim of asylum?
Thank you, Senator. HSI, as an investigative agency, is...
Do you know the number?
No, Senator.
You're a senior member of Homeland Security, are you not?
That's correct.
Does anybody know the number? None of you know the number. Try 8 million. Now, of that 8 million, how many were children, Mr. Morant?
I don't have that number, Senator.
You don't know. Does anybody know? None of you know. Isn't that special? Let's assume half. Okay. 8 million is 4 Nebraskas, right? 4 new states. Let's assume, I don't think it's as high, half of them are children. How many of those 8 million people are still here? Do any of you know? Okay. How many of those 8 million are claiming asylum? You don't know? How many of them claim asylum and don't show up for their hearing? Nobody knows? How many of them claim asylum, don't show up for the hearing, and President Biden has deported them? You don't know? How many of them have claimed asylum, shown up for their asylum hearing, and been denied asylum and been deported? You don't know.
That was could hear, the saying, the cliche. You could hear a pin drop. That was a tough one. Usually John Kennedy's interactions are kind of ha-ha funny. That one was like, ooh, that was kind of, I don't know what happened there. I got to go back to look at, I don't even remember who's all on that panel. Like, what positions are these people? But most people don't see that. I will get to that later. It doesn't have any impact. I mean, who's watching that stuff? People got things to do. They're sleeping in their car. They gotta, you gotta, clean up your bedroom. When it's your car, it's your toilet, it's your living room, and it's your bedroom. And you still vote for Biden and whatever the D's are. You probably have a rainbow flag in there too, and a Palestinian flag. Who knows? You might have a Hamas flag in there too. Hamas 7,000 miles away laughing at, look at these dumbass Americans. Adding to the repertoire of misadventures, the economic scenario under Biden's watch presents a grim picture, with inflation rates soaring and supply chain disruptions causing a ripple effect through various sectors. I had to get my car fixed, and they told me, bruh, it's going to take a while. They said multiple times up front, it's on the website. When you call, when you go and meet them, when you drop off the car, they're like, it's going to take a while. Just bear with us. When I say a what, I'm saying like, one person told me that they dropped their car off in January. They didn't get that car back. This was serious stuff. They were doing transmission though, and maybe it was just the shop they went to, but they didn't get it back to like June. Mine, I don't know how long it's going to take. But continuing on, there's different things that could be doing that. I'm not going to blame that all on Biden, but we know that there was supply chain issues. You remember that was a thing after the pandemic? That was of our own doing. That was of the government's own doing, increasing prices at the time. It's fluctuated back and forth now. But Mayor Pete Buttigieg was, I think he was on parental leave or something like that, because he had, did they have twins or whatever? So with inflation rates soaring and common citizens find themselves now caught in a financial quagmire, interest rates going up, people are putting more and more on credit. This is going to be a bubble that is going to pop. It's not just America. We're seeing that in China as well. But at least in China, they got beautiful big skyscrapers to show for it. They're trying to do something with it. I don't know what we're burning it with the money that for wars and all that. China's not doing all that. They're trying to expand a little bit with bases, but they don't really do a lot of military bases. They like to use their money for infrastructure and stuff like that. Yeah, where did I get that line? We can't even afford peace.
A few days ago, Joe Biden stumbled out of his basement to tell America we shall now be fighting 2 wars, since, after all, we can afford it. As Wall Street Silver put it, of course we can't afford 2 wars. We can't even afford peace. The current resident of the White House delivered the news on 60 Minutes, where interviewer Scott Pelley asked, are the wars in Israel and Ukraine more than the United States can take on at the same time? Biden responded angrily, no, we're the United States of America, for God's sakes, the most powerful nation in the world, not in the world, in the history of the world, the history of the world. This is all direct quotes. He added, we can take care of both of these and still maintain our overall international defense. In other words, the wars will continue despite $2 trillion deficits and $34 trillion in national debt, along with yet more trillions in deficits when the recession actually hits in force. Why? Because the most powerful in the history of God's sake does precisely that. It goes bankrupt, blowing things up, or being blown up all over the world. Biden went on to say the reason we're involved in Ukraine, giving them weapons, intelligence, $100 billion here and there, risking a dollar collapse in World War III, is so that we don't get drawn into a European war. So we're involved in a European war, so we don't have to get involved in a European war. A lesser intellect might respond that perhaps the way to not get drawn into a war is not to get drawn into it. But Joe Biden is playing 3D chess here. Moreover, what's concerning is that it's not just the 2 wars. That little throwaway line at the end there, the overall international defense, That is referring to the 200-odd mini-wars the Pentagon keeps on a simmer in hopes one of them could someday grow up to be a real war and raise Lockheed's dividend.
Do you hear that? Let me bring that back. It's not just the ones that we know about. Those are the big money makers. We got stuff all over the place, and that's what happened under Trump. It was all these mini wars, whether it was Syria or wherever else, all these mini wars, but nothing like a big war. Biden likes the big wars.
That is referring to the 200-odd mini-wars the Pentagon keeps on a simmer in hopes one of them could someday grow up to be a real war and raise Lockheed's dividend. One recent chart from Visual Capitalist shows precisely 177 countries in which the U.S. military are deployed. An updated list would actually have to include most of sub-Saharan Africa, including vital interest Burkina Faso and Taiwan, where the U.S. has now stationed Marines to ensure a guaranteed tripwire for World War III. So what is next? Brought to you by Unchained. What's next is the military-industrial complex is gutting America, draining our blood and dwindling treasure to make America the maximum number of enemies in the shortest amount of time. This actually puts the American people in danger. It is the precise opposite of defense, while keeping hundreds of wars on simmer worldwide, killing people on both sides. In his 1961 farewell address, Dwight D. Eisenhower warned of exactly this, saying, quote, "We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist." There was a rush of momentary optimism a few years ago with Trump, who was deeply hostile to the permanent wars. Unfortunately, with Trump now out of power, both of America's political parties are dominated by warmongers. And so Eisenhower's disastrous rise of misplaced power is upon us. Today it's 2 wars. Tomorrow will be 3. They literally will not stop. Hey, we'll be watching.
Yeah, that's a great breakdown from a financial standpoint. Those are the questions that are not asked. Why are we not talking about the finances of this thing? Mike Johnson became speaker today, and I've mixed thoughts about it. I like him in hearings. He is great in hearings. So I knew who he was because he had a lot of. I watched the Forbes YouTube channel, and he was all over there. You could make a greatest hits of him breaking down people in a congressional hearing. But one of the first things I heard from him was, we're gonna bring up that bill so we can get that money over to Israel. That's the first thing that I heard him say, addressing. Now, I'm not saying that was the first thing I heard. When I saw that he had won, and I was on X, clicked on a video, so it's just maybe my algorithm, so I don't know what he said first. The first thing I saw was him saying, we're gonna bring that bill over here so we can sign it basically for Israel. So they might change the bill, but Israel was Israel was non-negotiable. He didn't mention Ukraine, which I'll take it. It's baby steps. I'm not happy with it. I don't want any money to Israel, but if we're solidified now for the energy of the Republican Party is energized as to no, not even a dime more to Ukraine. That's why they're at the end of their rope. It's because we all kind of solidified and said we think they should be at the end of their rope. And I can't believe I don't have that as a drop. I gotta get my drop game right. And Joe Biden has a whole nother thing going on with the allegations of corruption, nepotism surrounding Joe Biden and his corrupt, despicable family. And they're really, and I don't mean that just a name call, they're really through that veneer. Because when I grew up, they always looked at them as a, believe it or not, like a wholesome family, especially because of Bo, rest in peace. But it turns out that was definitely a veneer. That was definitely a false pretense, a false narrative. It casts a long shadow over the moral and ethical standings of the leadership, further eroding, dwindling trust between the government and the governed. For very good reason. We're seeing dwindling trust that will never be replaced, at least not with the same people we have now. It'd be very hard to be replaced with anybody. But this is what the most recent. There's so many, it's hard to keep up with the scandals.
It's a check. Check number 6171 to Joseph R. Biden Jr. for $200,000 from Sarah and James Biden Sr. Can you tell us about this check, John?
Well, first off, it's the latest evidence that what Joe Biden told us to become president in 2019 and 2020 was false. We were fed a series of lies by the president. We know many of them well. My family did get in China money. Yes, it did. My son's laptop is Russian disinformation. No, it wasn't. I never met with my son's business partners. Yes, you did. And now the last one is I never talked to my brother, had anything to do with my brother James' business. And now James Biden has proven to the opposite. James Biden, the brother of the president, gets a $200,000 loan from a failing rural health care company, one that ends up in some sort of bankruptcy proceedings a few years later. He's selling the family name, according to an SEC complaint that is now public. And then as soon as he gets his $200,000 in, he writes a check the same day from the same account in the exact same amount, $200,000 to his brother. A direct pass-through. Another one of Joe Biden's stories to the American people now shredded to bits because he didn't tell us the truth.
So what happens next? It seems as if every week there's a new piece of evidence, a new scandal, the Porsche, the diamond, the $3 million
Yes,
from the mayor of Moscow's widow, and now we've got a check for $200,000. I thought we were told, show me the money, and I tweeted at the weekend, hey, Joe, here's the money.
Yeah, it's killing the media who kept saying, there's no evidence, there's no evidence. There's so much evidence, the media can't apparently fit it into their news hole. They apparently just stopped writing about it. Listen, I think the next step for James Comer is to see if there's any loan documents, because this was marked loan. Now, keep in mind, Hunter Biden used to mark things loan that were actually income.
You know, when I grew up, you would have people like John Solomon on, I think he used to be on mainstream stuff, if I'm not mistaken. He used to get on I don't remember which networks, but the corporate networks used to have both sides pretty covered. That was before populism, though.
That was at the heart of the whistleblowers case, the IRS whistleblowers, and what was going to be the tax evasion charges against him. Congress will need to ask the president, please provide us the loan documents for James, because if not, this is a form of income that may not have been declared on his taxes in 2018. Remember, we have his tax returns. There is a lot of questions, a lot of activity behind the scenes to get at this. And also, do not forget about the FD 1023 form with the FBI informant, the $10 million payments, some significant progress on that front as well. So let's keep an eye. There's a lot, even though the speaker's race is sort of sucking up the oxygen in the Capitol, there's a lot of investigative work underway right now.
So I haven't covered a lot of these stories because I'm not for impeachment, and it's actually very hard to cover when there's a lot of things you want to cover. To the story that people are trying to tell is too convoluted, and I don't know how to simplify that. Well, actually, I do. I just don't. I'm not really. The way that I would do it is through, you know what I'm going to say, through ChatGPT. I would put everything basically that I've got on Joe Biden. I bet you could do it and then say, hey, how do you simplify this into you could literally have ChatGPT, and maybe I'll do that for like a shorter segment. You have ChatGPT write not a fictional story, but tell the story with the real names, but do it in like a nursery, or you can even tell it like, hey, tell it to me like I'm a first grader. That's really dumbed down, but usually like tell it to me like I'm a high schooler works pretty well to give you like very basic, because sometimes there's concepts I'm like, well, I don't understand. What are you talking about? And I'll be like, break it down to me like I'm a middle schooler or high schooler. And then you kind of get the gist of it. The reason why I'm bringing this up isn't even to really knock Joe Biden. It's to show you that the country that we're living in is a reflection of that type of lack of morality. Someone who has no morals, no foundation. So you look at, we've seen pictures and stories here of people pulling down these posters of, so they're pulling down posters of, let me just take this, Rhina Workman, a they, them, no surprise there. The NY University law student and Student Bar Association president who blamed Israel for the Hamas terror atrocities, this is via Andy No, was caught posting pro-Palestinian flyers over the photos of missing civilians. So if you want to, so there's this thing that's going on. I don't know if it's because of social media, because it almost looks like they want the camera. And I just wonder if there was no camera, would they still be doing it? I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know that for sure. But that is, if you feel like tearing down the poster, the flyers of missing innocent people that didn't do anything, I don't care what side of issue you're on anything. It's a poster of innocent people who are missing. It's not like this is fake. Now, if we found out that that wasn't real, it was AI generated or fake, that's a whole different thing. But that's not what we're dealing with. This is a mental illness. And I think it just fits. Doesn't it fit with Joe Biden perfectly? This is I'm not blaming Joe Biden for this. We have to take ownership of it. But it still remains the guy who took inappropriate showers allegedly by his own daughter, with his daughter. This is the type of country you would think he would be president of, isn't it?
You guys want to say your name or no?
I don't want to tell you my name.
You guys want to put your name? Really? You guys scared?
I'm not.
At least say your name. If you're gonna do it, do it with pride.
I don't have to.
If you're gonna do it, do it with pride.
I'm very proud. I just don't want to talk to you.
So what's your name? Say it to the whole world. I'll send it to every single firm. Say your name. Look what they're doing. They're doing over these houses tonight. The children are dying in Israel. Look what they're doing. Hey guys, look.
Now, if you want to post it next to it, I don't have a problem with that. But they have to put it over it because there is this angst. I think they know that the future is difficult navigating it. You might graduate from college and it's, if you just get a 4-year degree, making $72K, depending on where you live, it's not that easy. It's not easy. You might be in your car. And this is a way to strike out. This is their way to release that tension because they know that the tension can't go to Nancy Pelosi because that's when it ends. They can't go to Joe Biden. They can't go to the Democrats. We did see them run up on Richie Torres's office, which was a good sign. But when it came to Hakeem Jeffries, they were in his office praying for peace. They weren't going against. You don't want to go against Hakeem Jeffries. He's the young protege of Nancy Pelosi. But this right here, this is exactly the country you would expect with Joe Biden as president. Again, not saying he's directing it, but that the type of country that would be okay with Joe Biden running, sleeping in his basement, barely doing nothing at all. And then on top of that, stealing the election and rigging the election. I'm not saying, I don't know if he was a part of it, but the election was stolen, rigged. And then he becomes president. This is the atmosphere. This is the country that you would expect. We saw very concerning, we're seeing a lot of concerning videos pop up about, I don't use this term anti-Semitism, but I'm seeing what I want to say is just tension. I don't care which way it's going or whatever. And if you want to call it that, I'm not going to even argue with it on this here. But we're seeing tensions rise up. And this is a very short video. I'm sure you've seen it. It's been circulating. It probably got like 10 million views right now. 4 million views on it. And it's circulating on different accounts. So it's well over 10 million from like all social media. Yasser Ali posts, and this seems to be confirmed through many other sources. Jewish students at Cooper Union are in the library as protesters pound the door. So this is what it purports to be, and it's ominous 6 seconds. They're like zombies. I mean, this is with Black Lives Matter and George Floyd, there was a level of understanding that I had that people were confused. They've filled their heads with everything is racist, and I understood that to a certain extent. This Palestine thing, I don't understand. You could even argue that many people involved with the George Floyd, Black Lives Matter stuff, in a way, were America first, in that not for Western culture, they were anti-white. I got that. But they were at least the rally and the power that the power play was about America. And now the power play is not about America. I don't know how it came to that. But this is the reporting that backs up the 6 seconds. A handful of Cooper Union's Jewish students were barricaded inside the university's library Wednesday when pro-Palestinian protesters, at least they called them pro-Palestinian. They've been throwing around this term pro-Hamas too often, without justification. They're calling members of the squad, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Presley, Ilhan Omar, AOC, Jamal Bowman, Corey Bush, them. There's a couple others, Summer Lee maybe. I don't even know if she's officially in it. It's not an official group or anything. But they've been calling them pro-Hamas, and I have not seen that. And I don't like that. When they talk, they're pro-Palestine, pro-Palestinian. Some people say Palestine doesn't exist, is not a thing. That's a legit argument to make, even though I don't even know where I stand on that. I really don't care. But saying that they're pro-Hamas, I don't see it. Maybe I'm missing something. They could have said something that I didn't see. A Jewish senior at the East Village institution recounted the terrifying moment she watched the demonstrators slam anti-Zionist posters against the window and shout anti-Semitic rhetoric just a few feet away. They started banging on the door. My heart started pounding. I was crying. I think if the doors weren't locked, I don't know what would have happened. I think that's fair to say. I don't know what's going on. Remember, they ran up on, is her name Riley Gaines? They ran up on her at the, I forgot which college. It was at Arizona State, maybe? A lot of craziness going on at Arizona State. But the demonstrators were carrying Palestinian flags and Zionism, hands off our universities signs. Those terms might be acceptable. I talked about that billionaire who said, yeah, those terms are acceptable. My hands will be off your university with this money. That will end the rallies really quick. Because you go to any university campus anywhere, they got buildings on buildings on buildings. There's construction everywhere. And I guess that kind of happens when the government subsidizes the cost for your product and everybody just goes through the government. So then you rack up the cost of your product because the government's paying for it, which also plays into inflation and all that because it's never ending. And because in theory, the price of college shouldn't be that much different in 2023 than it was in 2020. There's no legit reason for that to happen other than poor governance and decision making. And you see them build upon build because then they got that, then they got the endowments, then they got the people donating the money, then they got the football team. Once you start messing with people's money, stuff will change. I'm not condoning that. I'm not taking sides on that, but just observing what could happen, what is happening. It appeared as though they were headed towards University President Laura Sparks' office to demand she condemn Israel's attacks on the Gaza civilians. I would have opened my office door and I said, you baby-ass kids better get the hell up out of here. And they might have beat me down. Okay. But I said the same thing about J6. Because I kind of was following it. I don't know if it would be easier for me to follow it than them, but if I were Josh Hawley, I wouldn't have ran anywhere. I don't think he was under any danger at all. I don't think any member. This is kind of a sidetrack, but I don't think any member of the House or anybody that was in the Capitol on J6, I don't think they were under any serious. Now, I don't blame them for running away because you don't know, but I really don't think they were under any danger. I really don't. I don't know if they found any guns there. Maybe it was one or two at the most. It was like it's DC. You can't bring the guns. And a lot of them were just let in. They were taking pictures. Some people were defecating on the walls. That's allegedly. But I think if a politician had come out, even Nancy Pelosi, you might think even Mike Pence, you might think I'm crazy. But when you look at, I've looked at a lot of the J6 footage, mostly on Rumble. And when you look at it, there are some drunk people and maybe some wild people. And then there's always a couple people that are like, no, calm it down. Look at any of those J6 videos. It's almost always somebody saying, hey, that's not what we're trying to do here. All the way up from before the breach and elsewhere. Now, I know this is a rabid mob of rainbow hair colored, trans supporting, Black Lives Matter supporting NPC. So they might eat you alive, literally. So, but I'm telling, maybe in the moment I wouldn't do it, but I'm telling you what I would think about, what I'm thinking about right now. So it's easy to say right now that I would open the door and say, "What do we have a problem?" That's what I would do. The group of several dozen demonstrators breezed past security's feeble. I heard that security was like, they were worried they didn't want to get involved. From climbing up the stairs, they chanted Free Palestine. Perfect representation. And then also when that naked trans, when the trans person took off a trans male to woman, so a biological male, was on the White House front lawn with, I believe there were 2 LGBTQ flags surrounding the American flag in the middle, if I'm not mistaken, and a trans influencer going topless on the White House lawn. That really happened. It's just perfect. This is the kind of stuff he talks about. And he's even giving them kind of like, whenever he talks about the Middle East, he has something in there for them. He has to acknowledge them. With each misstep, the image of America as a formidable and reliable entity continues to crumble, leaving in its wake a trail of questions about the future and the path that lies ahead. The unfolding narrative under the Biden administration serves as a stark reminder of the profound impact. You know, that's I always have to get ChatGPT to stop doing serves as a stark reminder of the profound impact leadership can have on a nation's standing, both domestically and internationally. The need for a course correction is evident, and the call for a more capable and transparent leadership has never been louder. I'm going to go into, let's go into Mike Johnson real quick. Well, actually, no, let me do this. I do have some smut, so I do have a smut warning. We are going to have some smut later on. So I want to leave the smut. I promised I would leave the smut and the dirt and the regrettable stuff. You know, any segment that I think I'm going to regret before I do the segment is going to be considered smut, and then that will be saved for the end of the show. I have 2 segments of smut. Dwight Howard, and then an adult doll that I have a take on. I saw this video, and it resonated with me. I talked about my situation when I first had my first 9 to 5. You look at it, people are gonna say she's soft or all that, and I think there might be some truth to that. But I don't know what her schedule was. She probably had a much different schedule before having to go to the 9 to 5. Unless you kind of warm into that schedule, that's gonna be like a cold bucket of ice water in your face.
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying, but this is my first job, like my first 9 to 5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me fucking forever to get there. There's no way I'm gonna be able to afford living in the city right now, so that's off the table. Like, fucking duh! If I was able to walk to work, and it'd be fine, but I'm not. So it literally takes me, like, I leave here, like, I get on the train at 7:30, and I don't get home till, like, 6:15 earliest, and then, like, I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, that's out the window. Like, I'm so upset. Oh my God. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just like the 9 to 5 schedule in general is crazy. Being in the office 9 to 5, like if it was remote, you get off at 5 and you're home and everything's fine. But like I'm not home. It takes me long to get home, and like people that drive to the office, like you don't get off at 5. And I know it could be worse. I know I could be working longer, but like I literally get off, it's pitch black. Like I don't have energy. How do you have friends? Like how do you have time to like meet like a guy? I don't know. Like how do you have time for like dating? Like I don't have time for anything, and I'm like so stressed out. And I'm also getting my period, so that's why I'm all emotional. But like am I so dramatic? It's fine.
I appreciate the honesty at the end, but it wasn't. I appreciate it, but it wasn't needed. The video's based. Tell me where the lie is. I'm gonna look for the lie like weekend at the Super Bowl. Where's the? I don't see it. Now I'm not gonna feel sorry for her or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But it was an authentic video. There's no lie to the video. It resonates with me, especially back then. And why do you think I'm doing lives at midnight? Because I got 9 to 5, 2 kids. When else am I gonna do a live? It's got to be coordinated. And you try to make the most out of your day. Why do you think I'm drinking 2 coffees at night to do a live? That's because of that. I got a long commute now too. I was working at home for one leg. That is convenient, but it's so cold. Before I'm going to get to a different take on this, but it's so cold, the virtual part of it. And I'm not a real sociable person, but that actually makes it worse. To the virtual. If you're a very gregarious, outgoing, sociable type of person, and you embrace the online, you're going to be very good online. But especially in a work environment, you can't be like, did you see, online, it's just weird. Like I had a couple good conversations with people, but I couldn't be like, hey, do you see Dwight Howard news? Not that there's anything wrong with that. Like, I'm not doing that over a call. It's just not going to happen.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
But that was a very well done live. I just like it. It just feels real. It's raw emotion. It's relatable. It's accurate. At least I should say resonates with me. It's not accurate for everybody. But I think that commute you can maximize that commute. One thing I would talk to her about. Another thing is you are just transitioning. It will get better. Humans adjust. That's what happened to me. Most people, it's just 1 minute segment, but I just get the vibe that she's got stuff together. She's not some wacko. I think she's got her life together. It's just in 1 minute, I'm going to assess that. I think she's going to be able to adjust. I think she's going to be fine. She'll be able to find that time. Maybe, I don't know, if you meet that dude or whatever on Tinder, you just do it right after work or something. You'll figure it out. You will adjust to it. But it did resonate. But I'm in the political realm right now. So I had to twist it to another spot. And people were kind of like, that's what you took from that video? Yeah, I can take whatever I want to take from the video. The mirage of trust in a time-starved society. So I just did the whole thing about Joe Biden. How does that happen? A video caught my attention in which a young woman embarks on her first journey into the 9 to 5 world. Oh, isn't that cute? Wrestling with the hours spent in commute and the scant moments left for personal time. At least she said it wasn't about the actual job. Because people do that, of course, then work another job, work a hustle at home, and they got beef or problems at the job. So she acknowledged that it could be worse. Economic constraints prevent her from living closer to her workplace. This scenario unveils a wider narrative. The unyielding grind of daily toil which ensnares many, inadvertently nurturing a blind faith in the obscured actions of those at the helm of our government. As this fledgling professional, I just pictured like a goldfish out of water. It's kind of what fledgling professional grapples with her newfound routine. She reflects the larger populace that finds itself ensnared in a relentless chase for sustenance with scarce time for political scrutiny. You think it sounds like she has time to know what's going on? I'm not saying she should. Does it sound like she has time to know what's going on with Joe Biden? What she's like, what happened with that? She's probably like, what happened with Afghanistan? Oh, there's a money laundering scheme. What is that? There's a World War III about to start. I don't know. I gotta pay the bills. What does that got to do with me? The trust bestowed upon governing entities is not only born out of ignorance. I don't know if this is worded right. It is born out of ignorance, created as a consequence of time poverty. So I'm doing real-time editing. That's what I should have said there. The political landscape thus morphs into a blurred silhouette, occasionally brought into partial focus by brief exposures to the Democratic Party machine, corrupt state media propaganda platforms like MSNBC, or fleeting political snippets on TikTok, which often serve merely to reaffirm pre-existing beliefs. Take the narrative spun by Georgia, for instance. Let's go back to Georgia. For a second. Amidst the routine of a typical 9 to 5, the allegations of electoral malfeasance become nothing but background noise. When authoritative voices like talking heads on these corporate outlets, when they declare stolen election claims as falsehoods, and I'm talking about you included, YouTube, the assertion is accepted without question. YouTube's banning it. Well, that means it has to be dangerous. Since when are we worried about that? Is it true or not? Is really what I'd like to get to the bottom of while you're playing. MSNBC said these people are radicals. They're extremists. Stay away from them. Then I gotta stay away from them. You go on your Tinder, this woman on her date, she probably goes on her Tinder profile. Who knows if she says no Trumpists or something like that on the profile. And she might actually agree with an American first proposition when she finds out what it really is. Instances like Jenna Ellis and her televised court appearance, where her fake emotional display could easily be misconstrued as genuine by the casual observer, allegedly, underscore the gravity of misinformation. Jenna Ellis, if you don't know what the allegedly is, I'm a clone. I haven't watched Jim Rome in a long time. I think he still does uploads. One of my favorite shows of all time. I am one of the Jungle clones from back in the day. Never called in. Actually, did I call in? No, I called into local shows. I think I tried to call into Jim Rome before. I wonder if my brother got in one time, actually. Very hard show to get into. He took 5 calls each episode sometimes. But he would do this illegal. It's actually a legal thing just to cover himself. He would make a claim like, Dwight Howard bet that dude over, took advantage of him. Allegedly. And he really had to say that, otherwise he probably would have got sued. Jenna Ellis, who I am alleging, is a willing participant of open lawfare against Donald Trump, pled guilty to doing what any honest, informed observer would describe as routine legal work. This young lady doing her 9 to 5, she wouldn't know what the hell's going on with Jenna Ellis. Oh, the president got hemmed up and arrested. Donald Trump must be the worst, most evil person in ever. So I take my time, because I have a 9 to 5 too, young lady, and 2 kids. But I take my time to dig into it. I do have help, because some of these I'm not reading the whole thing. I'm using ChatGPT. For this bill, I read that. For the indictment, I read the whole thing, and then also the plea is like 2 pages. So that didn't even need ChatGPT. But so I am using tools to help on that, but it's just what you're passionate about. She needs to find a man first, is what she's worried about. The validation of the narrative surrounding this case aren't subjected to rigorous examination. Like, you don't have John Solomon on, you don't have Julie Kelly on, you don't have Jack Posobiec on, you don't have Steve Bannon on these corporate outlets to have debate. I think it would make Jack Posobiec better, Steve Bannon better. I think it would make the shows better. It would be better for ratings. None of that is organic. To keep the counterpoint off your TV channel, that's not organic. You would get better ratings that way. They're not subjected to any type of rigorous examination, but instead filtered through an anti-Trump, anti-MAGA, anti-America first perspective, further muddying the water of truth. Fulton County is alleged to have willingly participated in stealing the 2020 election against Trump. Fulton County also arrested and charged the same individual that they were allegedly rigging the 2020 election against, who is now a front runner in 2024. And we had a movement in 2020 called Black Lives Matter. Their number one goal was to prevent Donald Trump from taking future office. Fulton County used a novel and broadly interpreted Georgia RICO statute. That's a very kind way to describe it. This interpretation was so outrageous it should have ignited discussions of secession. Being dead serious. Fulton County also is judging whether the allegations against the case of the state of Georgia and themselves specifically should be labeled false. Fulton County unlawfully obstructed the election contest concerning the very allegations to which Jenna Ellis pleaded guilty to, preventing them from being heard in the court. So all of that is obviously blatant, open, and even the people who are in this world paying attention don't even really talk about or break it down like that. Such intricate layers of deception are hardly within the purview of the average worker ensnared. That's the third time that word has been used in here. That it does piss me off. In the rigors of daily survival, the pandemic served as a rude awakening, shattering the thin veneer, that's used a lot too, of trust once placed in authoritative entities. The unfolding realities demand a shift from passive acceptance to a culture of questioning, a transition from blind trust to informed skepticism. As this young lady navigates her initial foray into the professional realm, adapting to her schedule, I expect she'll eventually adjust and acclimate and hopefully excel professionally and socially. The normalization of the relentless routine, however, should not desensitize one to the imperative of seeking truth, or at the very least, not believing something just because Dr. Fauci said so, just because the World Health Organization said so, just because Google said so. The time will come, however, when our daily grind harmonizes. That's why I am for AI, because when you've got a lot of fake images out there, nobody knows what's real and nobody believes anything. And then now that's when your daily grind will harmonize with a culture of inquiry, because I could show you a picture of me at Crater Lake in Oregon, and you might be like, I don't know if that's real or not, but thank you for sharing it. When that day dawns, society will perch itself on a vantage point of informed insight, fostering a climate where truth isn't a casualty to the agencies of daily toil. Middle MAGA, that's going to be on the Middle MAGA website. For some reason, I like that video. I'm rooting for that young lady, and I think she will be fine. Just a feeling, nothing more than that. Let me know what you think. I haven't gone to the chat yet. Let me know what you think. And no, I got to do Mike Johnson, and then we'll get to the smut. Everyone should visit Crater Lake. Yeah, I just thought about that because it's one of my favorite national parks I've ever been to. I do have pictures from Crater Lake. Yep, I do. I could even go and find some. I don't think I've ever shown a picture of my wife on here. I'm gonna filter the ones out without. She's not important for this show. She'd probably take offense to that. She doesn't even watch the show. Watch the one time she watched the show in the middle of a 3-hour live or whatever, she finds that clip to hold against me. Crater Lake. Let me see. Wait, why is it taking so long? Come on, yo. I'm in Google Photos. I want that snappy. So, yep, here we go. Crater Lake. See, you might not be able to believe these. Believe these or not. This is Crater Lake. Straight from my Google Photos. Now, this is where I should have proposed to my wife. I didn't have the courage, I guess you could say, to do it, but it was beautiful. I was prepared to do it, did not do it here, but that's a story for another time, which is turned out a good story, but is that one, I don't know if that one's edited or not. That's Crater Lake. It's a Crater Lake in Oregon is just basically a valley. I don't even know the right word. It's a crater where the water is so pure. I don't think they allow boats in there. I don't even know if you can swim down there. And the water is so pure because there's no crap or anything in it. It reflects from just beautiful blue skies, and it looks, it looks like CGI. It looks just like that picture there. Some of them are edited and some of them aren't. Let me just fast forward for a couple. I don't think this is edited. Maybe it was, because maybe I might have brightened it up. What a beautiful location. That was 2014, maybe. Actually, I have the date on there. Should be able to say. That was May. So these pictures are from May. And they're from May 2014, I would think. Let me double check that. What's going on with my mouse? This is coming up from May. I'm just curious now. Is it before 2014? Wait, why don't I have a date? It just says May 4th. What the hell is that? Oh, it's got May 4th, 2023. So it must be like updated somehow from. I wonder if they don't even have the original dates on these anymore with their changes. No, it actually was May to June. It was late May 2014. So I did get that right. Crater Lake. Let's talk about Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson is the new Speaker of the House, and I am a fan. He is not America first. Some people I respect even said he's America first, he's MAGA. No, he's not. But that doesn't matter. Everybody, I don't want to exist in a world where every politician is America first, believe it or not. I want to exist in a world where there's I want to exist in a world where there's true representation of the people, wherever the people are. So people in Detroit might not resonate with an American first candidate, but the people that they have representing them, I want them to be real people. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is New York 14, I believe. I want a real person representing them, a real authentic person. And I think a lot of our problems would be solved. That's easier said than done because of the money you need to run. They're going to paint him as a staunch conservative and whatever. I guess with the general understanding I have of the word, he's actually even more conservative than Jim Jordan. If you're using that, I don't even know how to define that, but to the right of Jim Jordan even. Actually, there was the graph showing that based on the legislation that they supported and brought to the table. And I think he was able to and I didn't cover much of the speaker stuff, believe this or not. And I wouldn't say this if I didn't truly believe this. If I had covered the speakers, and I'm not sad I did, the Middle East stuff was way more important. But if I had covered the speaker stuff, I would have chosen him to be the leader. It would have been, there's two people that I would have chosen, and it would be the same. It would be Matt Rosendale, but he's not realistic. It would be Matt Rosendale would be like choosing Matt Gaetz almost. He would never win. He would never get a chance. So that's who I would like to see, that type of person there. And he's running for Senate. I believe. Mike Johnson was going to be the other person. A lot of people didn't know much about him. I was a little bit surprised by that because I'm talking about people who pay attention. If you're not paying attention to it, then of course, I mean, that's not a diss. I'm just saying, like, who's paying that close attention? If you look at it, what am I going to do now? Okay, so if you look at it with Mike Johnson, people were calling him America First MAGA. And I say, no, he's not America First and MAGA. So let me bring it back to that. But he has a lot of clips that I've always liked, and I follow Forbes on YouTube. The Forbes channel on YouTube, if I had enough time to do as many channels as I want, I would probably do my own version of the Forbes channel on YouTube. But what I'm going to do is play just different, Mike Johnson, his speech and his just different things here. Let's take a look at his first remarks of Speaker of the House to set the table straight from his mouth here. I think he's a very good speaker.
Thank you all. First, a few words of gratitude. I want to thank Leader Jeffries. I do look forward to working with you on behalf of the American people. I know we see things from very different points of view.
I like that.
But I know that in your heart you love and care about this country and you want to do what's right. And so we're going to find common ground there, all right?
I like that. Great tone to start it off. Great tone. This is a long speech. Not that long, but I'm not going to do the whole speech. But that was a great start.
I want to express my great thanks for our Speaker Emeritus, Kevin McCarthy.
That was a mixed response, but a great start. I like the gratefulness, man. Let's start being grateful. That's a great
Kevin
feeling.
has dedicated over 2 decades of his life to selfless public service, 16 of those years in this House. And you would be hard-pressed to find anybody who loves this institution more or has contributed more to it. He is the reason we're in this majority today.
Yeah. Are they going to do this? We're going to do this standing ovation like every 2 seconds?
His impact can never be overstated, and I want to thank him for his leadership, his friendship, and the selfless sacrifice that you and Judy have made for so many years. You helped build it, Kevin, and we owe you a great debt of gratitude. I want to thank the dedicated and overworked staff of this beleaguered House.
That's good. I like that. I like that.
They accept praise so stoically. But Miss Susan Cole, our House reading clerk, and yes.
Had to do a lot of reading. Very annoying. Reading off all the names and.
Listen, all the clerks and all the staff, they're terribly overworked. This has been a grueling process, but they have served an integral role in keeping our republic, and we thank them for that service. I know we all do. I want to thank my dedicated wife of almost 25 years, Kelly. She's not here. We couldn't get a flight in time. This happened sort of suddenly.
It did. It was kind of a surprise.
But we're going to celebrate soon. She spent the last couple of weeks on her knees in prayer to the Lord, and she's a little worn out. We all are. I want to thank our children, Michael and Hannah and Abby and Jack and Will.
I don't know. I've always thought he's very likable for some reason. He's kind of that button-up corporate style, but very polished, which is good. But like Mitt Romney comes across as very cold, and he comes across as very likable to me.
All of our children sacrifice. All of them do, and we know that. And there's not a lot of perks to being a member of Congress's kid. Right? And so I want to thank all of your families as well for what they endure and what they've had to endure for the last few weeks. We've been here a while. Yeah. I want to thank my faithful mother, Jeannie Johnson, who bore me at the age of 17. And my brothers Chris and Josh, and my sister Laura, and all their families, and all of our extended family. In Louisiana, family's a big deal, and we got a bunch of them. I especially want to thank all the extraordinary people of the great state of Louisiana. We have never had a Speaker of the House hail from our state, and so they've been lifting us up. I thank
Much better than
the people of
California.
Louisiana for the opportunity to serve you in Congress, and I'm humbled by your continuous support. We will make you proud. To my colleagues, I want to thank you all for the trust that you have instilled in me to lead us in this historic and unprecedented moment that we're in. The challenge before us is great, but the time for action is now.
Okay.
And I will not let you down.
Sometimes out of chaos can rise a good figure.
I want to say to the American people, on behalf of all of us here, we hear you. We know the challenges you're facing. We know that that there's a lot going on in our country, domestically and abroad, and we are ready to get to work again to solve those problems, and we will.
Now, what's the first one?
Our mission here is to serve you well, to restore the people's faith in this House, in this great and essential institution. My dad, it was mentioned, my dad was a firefighter. He was an assistant chief in the fire department in my hometown of Shreveport, Louisiana, a little town in northwest Louisiana. On September 17, 1984, when I was 12 years old, he was critically burned and permanently disabled in the line of duty.
Wow.
All I ever wanted to be when I grew up was the chief of the fire department in Shreveport. But after the explosion on that fateful day, he nearly died, and it was a long road back, and it changed all of our life trajectories. I'm the oldest of 4 kids, and my dad, he lived with pain all the rest of his life for decades more, and I lost my dad to cancer 3 days before I got elected to Congress, 3 days. And he wanted to be there at my election night so badly. I'm the first college graduate in my family. This was a big deal to him. And so it was several weeks after that. It was early 2017. It was my freshman term, and it fell to me to be in the rostrum one night to serve here as Speaker Pro Tem. I thought that was a big deal until I figured out that's what you do for freshmen late at night. And I think if my memory serves, Miss Jackson Lee was winding down one of her long, eloquent speeches. And not that I was not enraptured by her speech, but I looked up at the top of the chamber there, and I saw the face of Moses staring down. And I just felt in that moment the weight of this place, right? The history that is revered here and the future that we are called to forge. And I really was just kind of almost overwhelmed with emotion. It occurred to me in that moment, it had been several weeks, and I had not had an opportunity yet to grieve my dad's passing, and I just had this sense that somehow he knew. And I had tears come to my eyes, and I was standing here, and I'm wiping them away, and then it suddenly occurs to me, the late-night C-SPAN viewers are going to think something's very wrong with the new young congressman from Louisiana. It wasn't Sheila's speech. I'm sorry. I just knew in that moment that my dad, my father, would be proud of me, and I felt that he was. And I think all of our parents are proud of what we're called to do here. I think all the American people at one time had great pride in this institution, but right now, that's in jeopardy. And we have a challenge before us right now to rebuild and restore that trust. This is a beautiful country. It's the beauty of America that allows a firefighter's kid like me to come here and serve in this sacred chamber where great men and women have served before all of us and strived together to build and then preserve what Lincoln did refer to as the last best hope of man on earth. We stand at a very dangerous time. I'm stating the obvious. We all know that. The world is in turmoil. But a strong America is good for the entire world. We are the beacon of freedom, and we must preserve this grand experiment in self-governance. It still is. We're only 247 years into this grand experiment. We don't know how long it will last, but we do know that the founders told us to take good care of it. I want to tell all my colleagues here what I told the Republicans in that room last night.
So this is good. I really like it. He hasn't said anything substantive yet as far as like legislation wise, but for the Honor Forge says expecting and pushing for something good out of chaos is an alchemy. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I can't read anymore, yo. An alchemical. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Alchemical philosophical idea. So it's like a certain type of philosophy here. I'm not familiar with this at all, obviously. It is because a hope-inducing and it is so maybe it's a cause of hope-inducing and very misused policy. Or is it philosophy you meant there? It is both a hope-inducing and alchemical. Okay. So I'll look into that. Thank you. People in the live, man. I got the greatest people that stop by the channel, man. They helping the brother out. I like that, man. I really like that. I appreciate you. Instead of laughing, you helped the brother out. You helped the brother up. I'm very serious about that. I appreciate that. It is both a hope-inducing and very misused policy. I will have to educate myself. I'm ignorant there, so I'll have to educate that. I mean, part of my take is that chaos is not always bad. I think so the house was in chaos, and it needed to be in chaos because the country's in chaos and it represents the country. So ultimately, I want them to work it out and figure it out. But we wouldn't have Mike Johnson right now without the chaos. And is he going to be the right one or not? I don't know. But we know Kevin McCarthy was not. And that time was over. So if there was no path to get Kevin McCarthy out of there without chaos. That wasn't a thing. That wasn't a possibility. So we have to look at it from that standpoint. Let's see what he does when he gets into legislation. But very good speech so far.
I don't believe there are any coincidences in a matter like this. I believe that Scripture, the Bible, is very clear that God is the one that raises up those in authority. He raised up each of you, all of us.
You can say he's vanilla, but is it really vanilla? How often do you see people openly talking about their faith in a way that's not off-putting? I mean, everybody's going to have their own opinion, but to me, that's not, even if I felt like I wasn't, very religious or didn't have any faith, that wouldn't be off-putting to me. That's very humble how he's saying it. He's not saying it like God put me here. He's like God put you all here. And it's structured like that, of course, to avoid the bad optics, but this is very good. And I don't think this is vanilla. I mean, Kevin McCarthy wasn't saying anything like this. So he's not a rah-rah Donald Trump type of dude, but in that speaker position, you really don't want that. I mean, out of spite, yes, Steve Bannon, Mike Lindell, Donald Trump, Cass Patel, Peter Navarro, out of spite, yes. Because I said, if they didn't vote for Mike Johnson on this round here, because we're just waiting for the corporate people to agree with the guy. If the corporate people didn't vote for Mike Johnson and push him through, I said they should have made an ultimatum. It's one last chance to vote. We got the most clean cut. What's the problem with this dude right here? He defended Trump on the second impeachment, but he was kind of like identitarian after George Floyd. I mean, I don't know what else you corporate people want. If you don't vote for him, this is just my idea. It's moot now. If you don't vote for him, then we're going Cass Patel, we're going Mike Lindell, we're going Donald Trump, and we're not going back. The terms will be altered if you don't vote for him on this one. But he had to go around and make deals too.
And I believe that God has ordained and allowed each one of us to be brought here for this specific moment in this time. This is my belief. I believe that each one of us has a huge responsibility today to use the gifts that God has given us to serve the extraordinary people of this great country, and they deserve it, and to ensure that our republic remains standing as the great beacon of light and hope and freedom in a world that desperately needs it.
Good time to stop. I got you 100% now for the Honor Forge. Great topic. right on point with the speaker stuff as we come out of the chaos into kind of more of a calm, normalized atmosphere for the House. For the Honor, Ford says that he or she agrees with me, but forcing chaos, expecting good, no. That, yes. So I like that distinction. I am not for forcing chaos just to expect good. It is a thin line, and you're absolutely right. That is the core, that is the whole point of Marxism to me. I mean, that's the whole point. That's why you can do it with race, you can do it with race, you can do it with class. I mean, you can do it with anything. When you divide it, the goal of dividing it is to create chaos so something new can be born from it. Blindly creating it. Basically saying that capitalism is bad, force chaos, bring it down, and then replace it with something else. That's not what's happening with, we're experiencing neo-Marxism. That's not the same as this at all. Neo-Marxism doesn't go after true power ever. It's just a cosplay controlled by the bourgeois. This classic Marxism would be going at the whole structure, the whole system, and some people do believe that on the left, but that's nobody in DC. There's nobody in DC that's a real Marxist. They get the ideas from it, but that's neo-Marxism. That's different. But yes, I agree with you. You don't force chaos blindly, hoping for good to come out of it. No. So I agree. That's a good way to break it down. Taco, friend of the show, says, I don't know much about him, but his voting record on the Second Amendment is good. GOA gave him an A rating. So yeah, there's MAGA doesn't run everything, and everything doesn't have to be MAGA. He's not that, and I think that's okay, especially in this position. But right now, it looks like I am going to play the full thing. I wasn't planning on it, but maybe I will. He still hasn't got to legislation yet. I think the first thing he says with the legislation is going to be off-putting, even though everything's good so far. Great, actually. Perfect tenor for what we need in the country right now. And after we're done with Mike Johnson, we'll get into the smut. If you want to get into the smut peddlers, we're going to get into the smut.
It was in 1962 that our national motto, "In God We Trust," was adorned above this rostrum. And if you look at the little guide that they give tourists and constituents who come and visit the house, if you turn in there to about page 14 in the middle of that guide, it tells you the history of this. And it says very simply, these words were placed here above us. This motto was placed here as a rebuke of the Cold War era philosophy of the Soviet Union. That philosophy was Marxism and communism, which begins with the premise that there is no God. This is a critical distinction that is also articulated in our nation's birth certificate. We know the language well, the famous second paragraph that we used to have children memorize in school, and they don't do that so often anymore.
Which one?
But they should. G.K. Chesterton was the famous British philosopher and statesman, and he said one time, America is the only nation in the world that is founded upon a creed. And he said it's listed with almost theological lucidity in the Declaration of Independence. What is our creed? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, not born equal, created equal. And they are endowed by the same inalienable rights, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. That is the creed that has animated our nation since its founding, that has made us the great nation that we are. And we're in a time of extraordinary crisis right now. And the world needs us to be strong. They need us to remember our creed and our admonition. Turmoil and violence have rocked the Middle East and Eastern Europe. We all know it. And tensions continue to build in the Indo-Pacific. The country demands strong leadership of this body, and we must not waver. Our nation's greatest ally in the Middle East is under attack.
Here we
go.
go.
The first bill that I'm going to bring to this floor in just a little while will be in support of our dear friend Israel,
Jeez.
and we're overdue in getting that done.
See, this is like, I mean, Yeah. I was there. I was praising this, bro, and I was like, man, this is good. There's no substance yet as far as legislation, but you're setting. That's what we need right now in our country. He's bringing God back into this conversation, as uncomfortable it makes the oligarchs on the left, especially, and probably on the right. I don't think they're thinking about God too much when they're doing their blowing orgies that they invited Madison Cawthorn to. And then we get to it. It's like, okay, we're leading up to this. This sounds like America First, even though I know you're not America First because I know enough about you. You're not America First, but you don't hate America First. So you're talking about all the right things and the founding of the country, the culture of the country. And then we get to, okay, what's the first thing that we do? Is it free speech? Is it just doing the laws that we have on the books for the border or something else there? Or we've got the budget coming up. Is the budget like doing the single subject bills? Let's get those pumped out and let's get those going so we can pass what we agree upon. And then what we need to debate on, we'll have to mark those up. Because we have to fund things. What are we going to talk about? What's the first thing?
What intentions continue to build in the Indo-Pacific. The country demands strong leadership.
Why are we talking about the Indo-Pacific? I thought you were going to bring it back to God and the culture of the country and what we need. We can get to that. We know that that's hot on the topic. So what's the first thing that's going to be on your table to kind of bring to the House to debate over and to sign?
The nation's greatest ally in the Middle East is under attack. The first bill that I'm going to bring to this floor in just a little while will be in support of our dear friend Israel.
Come on,
we're overdue in getting that done.
Israel is no friend of mine, and I kind of feel like, I've been led down a path. Like, this is a weird analogy, but you almost feel like there were signals being there, like, okay, this is going to be something good. We're going to, something good's going to happen. Like, okay, I got you. But then all of a sudden, no. And it's like, okay, what happened? Just tell me why did you do this to me? Why did you tease me along all the way and then bring up Israel and then say that our dear friend, and I'm just going to stop it there. That's the perfect place to stop it. Well, I want to hear a little bit, see if he justifies it. That clip right there is the first thing I heard after he became speaker, and I'm like, audibly like, oh. But let's be real. There's not one person, that bill's probably going to pass unanimous, even Thomas Massey. My prediction is that bill is going to pass even the squad. I think that bill that they do for Israel, they'll probably parse out Ukraine. I don't think they're going to be able to put them all in one bill, but they might. I think it's going to be a unanimous bill. I wonder if the squad is standing up. I don't think they are. I don't know where they are. I think that might be them over there. I'm looking for the colored people. I'm like, where's the black people at? Where are the black? Because not all of them are. I mean, like, you got Clyburn, who's not progressive at all, or doesn't even pretend, like the pretenders in the squad. So the picture's blurry. I'm just looking for a little bit of color in there. I don't know where they're at. I doubt that they're standing, though. That's for sure.
We're going to show not only Israel, but the entire world that the barbarism of Hamas that we have all seen play out on our television screens is wretched and wrong, and we're going to stand for the good in that conflict. We have a catastrophe at our southern border. Okay. The Senate and the White House can no longer...
So he didn't have time to extrapolate. So the southern border comes after Israel. Do I have your position correct, Mike Johnson? But I don't have beef with him. I do not have beef with him. He is what he is. Let's manage expectations and let's talk about the good parts of him and what he's brought to the table. I think this was a good moment. Here I just have some clips to show if you don't know much about him.
We've documented carefully in the Twitter files are a couple of key facts. People will hear a lot of things today, but this is...
I actually played this on the show months ago.
What they need to know. The federal government, from Democrat members of Congress to intelligence agencies including the FBI, used Twitter and other social media companies to censor Americans' speech. If the alarm bells are not going off, then you're not paying attention. Over the past 3 years, documents show, they prove what you guys have uncovered here, is there's communication between Twitter and the FBI. It was constant, it was pervasive. Twitter was basically an FBI subsidiary before Elon Musk took it over. The Twitter files revealed that by 2020, Twitter was engaged in open information sharing with the intelligence community, and now we know there were many intelligence agencies apparently involved in this. The FBI pressured Twitter to act on election-related tweets leading up to the 2022 election. Of course, they did it in 2020 as well, and Twitter dutifully censored content as a result. Twitter executives restricted accounts. They censored speech that conflicted with the left's narrative. Twitter has used its internal tools to control and manipulate speech considered misinformation, and who was determining that? It was the government bureaucrats. Documents show that Twitter used visibility filtering to restrict certain accounts and posts and removed people from the platform altogether. The Twitter files should be a matter of bipartisan concern for every member of Congress and every American citizen, because it is a bedrock principle of our constitutional system that the government does not get to decide what speech is acceptable or true. Under the First Amendment, Americans have a right to speak freely, regardless of whether their speech upsets their preferred narrative. In fact, that's when it needs the most vigorous protection. Everybody on the left used to believe in that, or at least they purported to. Government and media fact checkers frequently get things wrong. The American people can't and shouldn't rely on so-called experts to be the arbiters of truth, disinformation boards, and the like. It doesn't matter what political party you're in. Government should not suppress important debates and public discourse. Gentlemen.
And that's a great moment. Here's a down moment. But I'm going to give you the context here. I don't think it's as bad as it's shown. I have not looked at I have the longer video of this, but I haven't watched it. I think it's with good intent. But here you go with Mike Johnson. A lot of people had concerns about this. I do not, just based on this.
And I've thought often through all these ordeals over the last couple of weeks about the difference in the experiences between my two 14-year-old sons, Michael being a Black American and Jack being white, Caucasian. They have different challenges. My son Jack has an easier path. He just does. The interesting thing about both of these kids, Michael and Jack, is they're both handsome, articulate, really talented kids, gifted by God to do lots of things. But the reality is, and no one can tell me otherwise, my son Michael had a harder time than my son Jack is going to have, simply because of the color of his skin. And that's a reality. It's an uncomfortable, painful one to acknowledge, but people have to recognize that's a fact.
What can we do about that?
I think that we really do need systematic change. I think we need transformative solutions. I think we're at a moment where we can begin to do more to form that more perfect union, as it says in the first line of the Constitution.
If that was hard to hear, that's right after the George Floyd stuff popped off. He basically said George Floyd was murdered, and a lot of people didn't know at that point, but we do know now. So I don't know where he stands now. I would want to know where he stands now. I don't agree with him on here's my take on this. He's talking about he has two, adoptive child and I think a natural born son. And his experience is he's saying that there's different challenges. There's more challenges with his Black son. And that's his story. And that is a critical race theory tenet, but that's not what he's not doing critical race theory to me, because critical race theory, at least in that clip, he could go down that path where it just means everything is racist. I don't think, if I asked Mike Johnson, is everything racist, he would not agree with that. I think that's just his authentic take on it. And I think that's coming from a good place, and it's coming from a good heart. The part about systematic change, I mean, after George Floyd, if you assume that it was a murder, then yeah, I think that's not that unusual. So I didn't have a problem with that. I actually did not. But I understand the concern. I do want to know where he stands now. So that's where I'm going to leave Mike Johnson so we can get to the smut and get up out of here. If you're not for the smut, then this is probably not going to be a good time. We just got news today. It's nobody's business, but Dwight Howard had a controversy today, and he has a legal controversy, then personal revelations are really where the controversy went. At the heart of the matter is a civil lawsuit where Dwight Howard faces accusations of sexually assaulting Stephen Harper in July of 2021. The layers started peeling back when Howard rebutted the accusations in court. He was asserting that the sexual interaction was consensual, not coerced. But Howard's admissions didn't stop at the courtroom door. A revelation blossomed in the digital realm when he acknowledged meeting the man on Instagram for a threesome, an encounter that later knitted the fabric of the lawsuit he now wishes to be dismissed. The narrative takes a turn towards personal authenticity when Howard, amidst the whirlwind of legal wrangling, unveiled his sexual orientation, stepping out of the closet. So yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack with Dwight Howard, and it's not. I mean, it's not whatever he does in the privacy of his home is none of my business. Just sharing the news, and the sequence of events doesn't just underline a legal tussle, but also sketches Howard's journey towards personal truth amidst the storm of legal and public scrutiny. The repercussions ripple beyond just the individuals involved, nudging the discourse around the intertwining of personal lives and professional personas in the naked eye. You can't, you're a professional. It's hard to hide it. It didn't look like he wanted to, but then he did.
We're not gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Just to be clear, Dwight Howard, this is via allaboutthetea.com, a site I have used a couple times. So he's out of the closet and he is living his truth. He was forced, is what it appears, that he was forced out of the closet. He has formally refuted these allegations, and then Twitter was ablaze. We'll get to that. Harper claims that Howard expressed, this is his accuser, interest in freaky sexual encounters, asking for explicit photographs to be shared. And this is of the Stephen Harper. Howard said several of which included sexually explicit content, such as photographs and videos. He confirmed that a meeting took place on July 19th where consensual acts, including kissing, occurred between them. So if you want, you probably are getting too much information, more information than you'd hoped for. But I'm just going to share the tea. It's all about the tea right now. Harper's lawsuit details a series of uncomfortable sexual encounters involving another individual referred to as Kitty. You might have seen on Twitter, they're posting pictures of Dwight Howard with a cat. I don't know if that's AI or what. I honestly don't know if they were real or not. Claims which Howard staunchly denies. Howard's defense maintains that all involved had prior knowledge of each other's participation and consented to the sexual activities that transpired. The three agreed to touch one another and to engage in consensual sexual activity. Back in the old school ancient Greece, they would have been like, this is boring. Like, this is tame. I think this is Harper. I'm not sure. Challenging the allegations of sexual assault, forced participation, Howard has requested the dismissal of the entire lawsuit. He asserts that the engagement between Harper, Kitty, and himself was entirely consensual, as we stated before. The lawsuit submitted evidence as text messages and an Uber receipt. I don't think he's denying that. Back in 2019, Dwight Howard addressed the rumors, and so the people have been talking about it. So I believe that is the individual. Oh, that's a different one. Mason LG. I don't even know. So, okay, we've gone down the rabbit hole of. We somehow started out with Joe Biden and how decrepit he is, and we're ending in the sewer with Dwight Howard. And I found out about this way late, way after everybody. If you find out about something like hours late, then you're just way, especially like this, you're way late. Like the memes, the memes have been constructed and released, you're late. They've already been put together and everything. And I said, I'm sure that everyone on X will, that's not a good place for this. It's not a good place for the picture to stop on that I'm sharing, so let me get off of that. I'm sure that everyone's going to be able to address this issue that really shouldn't be an issue, shouldn't really be anybody's business. That's my takeaway, is that I'm sure that everyone on X will treat this subject with the maturity. Now, we're talking about sexual assault allegations, so there's some seriousness there. I was like, I'm sure that everybody on X will be mature adults and treat this topic with the utmost seriousness and maturity that it deserves. And as you can imagine, my thoughts were obviously very, very wrong. Of course, no one treated this with the respect that it deserved, because that wouldn't give us the laughs that we needed to get on behalf of Dwight Howard. I'm just glad that I have the maturity not to get into the gutter, that I am the mature one in the room. I'm 45 years old. If a dude wants to go Madison Cawthorn and jump up on a bed and do what they need to do to another dude, or whatever the claims are, as long as it's consensual, it has nothing to do with me. I'm going to be the adult in the room. I'm not going to be the one posting this type of clip saying Dwight Howard showed up to the party like this.
What's up, OG, triple OG? Got that look in your eye. Fresh fish on the line, nigga. Ain't nothing like that shit.
One at a time, player, one at a time. Busy right now, working with a monster.
You know what this is.
New boo.
Don't fight this shit.
Fight what shit?
Just let it happen.
Let what happen? What the hell you doing with the phone book? Nigga, I ain't even in the phone, but what the... Nigga, you better... This ain't funny, nigga. I'll bitch slap your ass. Come on, I ain't playing.
Wake your bitch ass up, Lucky Charms. I like my fish wet and squirming.
I thought I was dreaming.
You are dreaming.
Almost drowned me, nigga.
Oh, you dreaming. What's up, OG, triple OG?
So I don't think that's appropriate. I would never laugh at anything like that. Come on, guys. Let's do this. And I'm going to show these just to kind of highlight where I think that we could do better, everybody. Somebody said this is Dwight Howard right now, going back to Law and Order SVU when there's this type of allegation. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Man, I am not gay. I have relationships with women and sex with men.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
I remember watching that episode. I forgot what happened. That's an old one. I mean, that's an old one from that's probably like 10 years old, I think, that clip. And then someone's posting Dave Chappelle. What's Dave Chappelle got to say about this?
It's a man raping men in Houston. That's the
It's
most
not funny.
gangster shit. So far, like 7 men have already come forward in the Houston area and reported this motherfucker, which means he must have raped thousands. That's a tough phone call for us to make. It's not like when you get raped, ladies. There's no society don't give a fuck about male rape. There's no hotline for us. If a man get raped, you just gotta get up and walk that shit off. Got raped. Caught me slipping. It's a man raping men in Houston. That's the most gangster shit. So far, like 7 men.
That's totally immature and inappropriate. Do better. I'm gonna need y'all to do better. That's inappropriate. Dave Chappelle, someone post that. Somebody said Street saying this was his baby mama talking to him.
How do you marry a woman and then turn around and let a man bend you over?
Ain't nobody bending me over.
Oh, so you doing the bending? Is that what it is?
That's not what. Why y'all like this? People were on here with just wild comments. Someone said, if you asked me in 2011, did I think Dwight Howard would be raping niggas in 2023? I'd say no effing way. Come on, man. I need the Joe Biden. Do I have the Joe Biden? I think I do have a Joe Biden. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Do better. Somebody said nobody, absolutely nobody. Dwight Howard. This one's you're going to have to see on video. I am not going to describe it for the podcast. Okay. You're in timeout. You're done. Somebody said this was Dwight Howard in the offseason.
And women, you gotta stop. For real, put the camera on me. For real. We gotta stop telling niggas what you do in your own personal time has nothing to do with me. It does, my nigga. If you call, come on, man. Yeah, it does matter. It does matter. Those are the lies that are going on in society. We tell people it don't matter, but behind your back, it matters. And that's what we gotta first start off by saying. Like, you hear stats saying this, because what people do in their bedroom, that's between them. Not necessarily true, but I understand. You get what I'm saying? Because you telling them it don't matter, but then it does matter. And anybody watching this knows it does matter. Even to people that participate, it matters. Because people will say, oh, it don't matter. And as soon as they find out, they're outing them, so it matters. Yeah. You know, and when it comes down to making money off the story, it matters. When it comes down to who dating you is going to matter. When it comes down to if we're gonna look at Cam, but it's good the camera on Cam. When it comes down to if you're gonna be in the locker room with them, it matters. Because there's about 30 teams that did not sign Dwight Howard because it matters. So let's dispel that. That's the first thing we gotta dispel. The second thing is that is consensual. It's never consensual if you surprise somebody. How can you say it's consensual? It's a surprise. Yeah, this is, and I don't be meaning to laugh. Sometimes I make myself laugh, but it's not funny. But it is funny. Stupid, man. Yo, he said it's consensual. So just think, you're somewhere, you're with somebody, and somebody walk out of the side door with a leprechaun outfit on. It's not longer consensual.
Yo.
It's not consensual.
Get it together, guys. Get it together. This mace.
It's not consensual. Y'all want me to keep going? Because this makes sense. It makes sense, but people be lying, and folks can't get help if y'all lie. So that's not consensual. Consensual is agreeing beforehand on what's gonna happen. If it's not agreed to beforehand, it's not consensual. Young guys need to know this. Young ladies need to know this. It's not consensual if it's not agreed to beforehand. To put somebody on the spot and say, oh, it's consensual. No, it doesn't. Consensual doesn't work like that. Like growing up, I met a girl at the club. I tell her, listen, I only do the first night. If we gotta wait, I can't do it. because I don't got time like that. Tomorrow ain't promised. You know, I've changed since then a little bit, but that's where I am.
Bring that nigga back outside. Yo, bring that nigga back. I miss that nigga.
Tomorrow's not promised.
I miss that nigga,
it's
man.
Tonight only. It's tonight only.
Bring him back out. That nigga was with me in the whole house.
Speaking of consensual, I had no idea that dolphins were wild like this. I was today years old. Everybody was like, you didn't know dolphins were wild like that? No, they didn't teach me that in school. I never seen that. I guess there was this King of the Hill episode that kind of made fun of it. But this is a dolphin. I don't know where this is, just some random video online. This dolphin need to catch a case. This is not legal. What is going on here? The dolphin's not playing. Somebody needs to cuff it. That dolphin needs to be cuffed and brought into court. And first of all, stop laughing. Go help. Yeah. I would have punched the dolphin. Like, I don't know how they fight. I mean, because they swim. They could probably mess you up because they can swim fast, but he's still trying to get in there. Entirely unacceptable. Still going. That thing wasn't going to stop. I'm like, wait a second. You got to back off. Homie, this was, and you know, dolphins like to play. I know they're playful and very smart. I knew that. Nobody told me that they were a little rapey. That's not something that I ever learned. So I learned that today for the first time. And this is, I mean, it's really a serious thing. It's not even like a joke. Somebody said Dwight Howard after the game.
Let me hear you say it. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Come on, that's not Dwight Howard. Don't do that. And then the last one that people always got to take it back to a religious tip. They got to always take it back to church. This was a funny clip. I don't know. People got these clips locked and loaded, ready to go. So I wanted to put them all on blast, like this is unacceptable. This is some type of religious church scenario, and this clip will have the final say.
Turn around and tell those people. Tell them. I'm not gay no more. I am delivered. I don't like men no more. I said I like women. Women. I said women. I'm not gay. I would not date a man. I would not carry a purse. I would not put on makeup. I will love a woman. Now listen, y'all praise God with him. Hold on, wait a minute. Somebody believe God with him. Hey! We don't just preach condemnation. We preach reconciliation.
Come on, y'all. You got these clips locked and loaded. That's not right. When Dwight Howard enters a basketball locker room. Come on, y'all. This one made me laugh, too. This was a separate issue. Not even an issue, but this dude had me cracking up. This do-rag dude, I don't know who this is, just some random Negro off of X. And he had this video, and I was like, oh, you got a thick woman here. I'm like, what is this? So this one's probably going to be more for your video. Nothing inappropriate, but it's just a thick woman wearing a kind of like a tight skirt mini thing, dress or something like that, almost skin color. But I'm like, okay, what's this about? Wait, whoa. Let's go. You doing a little much, bruh. What's going on? Oh, snap. It's a doll. It's a doll. And what he's doing is showing the realistic jiggle of the doll. This is a serious thing, y'all. Aren't birth rates going down already? I don't know where they get these. I don't know what material these dolls are made out of now. I don't know how much that thing costs, but that's not your normal doll that I've ever seen. This dude Durag of Liberation came out and was like, he obviously liked what he saw from the doll, and said, "Oh yeah, y'all women, y'all finished." That's how he started out his post. Y'all women, y'all finished. Go ahead and get an attitude if you want to. Finna pull out Veronica and forget you even existed. That's the first thing where he went to with that. Guys are very simple. Guys are very, I mean, women, you probably know, for the most part, guys are just not bright. We're just not bright. I think this is proof of it. A piece of plastic, and all we need is a piece of plastic in the right shape, and all of a sudden, y'all women are done. He's waiting for the next woman to have an attitude with them, just so he can pull out Veronica. He's a comedian, so he's just joking, but it is funny. I'm gonna skip that one there. I think that one had a little bit. That one had a little bit much in it. This next one he had. It's a doll. It's not a real thing, but I'm still gonna skip it, and it's not naked. But that's not what I wanted to show. The different models of the doll, I guess, is what they got. So this woman came at him and was like, he's joking, and it seems like women are someone who's, has a female profile on X is actually taking it seriously. So he's gonna play along. Considering this is exactly how a lot of men see women, this shit doesn't bother me at all. Just make sure you wash it, which we all know y'all won't. And then she has a throw up emoji. I don't think she's telling any lies, but he was like, just because y'all be letting y'all cream form crust around your, I don't even know if you can say it on YouTube, your toys, doesn't mean y'all get to project y'all bad hygiene on us. He's got to be some type of stand-up comedian or something like that. And then she replied, "Bitch, are you dumb? Don't quote me, you black bitch." This is a woman. I don't know what she's angry about. If a dude wants to do a doll, let the dude do a doll. And then on top of that, he said this, "Thanks for proving my point. You think my AI wife gonna talk to me like this? The fuck would I want to deal with this every day for the rest of my life for? Just a few more years, man." He's waiting for the doll to be mass produced, come down in price, maybe even come down to $100 or $2. And he's like, I ain't got to deal with this no more. I'm out. I'm out the game. Like I said, man, it doesn't take long for dudes. He's got an acronym for the doll for Veronica: vividly experiencing realities on networks, inspiring candid awareness, and that's his Veronica. Name still needs work. He just named it. The Veronica is not the name. He just named her Veronica is what people came up and asked him about. Like, how'd you come up with the name? He's like, he just made up an acronym for it. Man, there's some funny people on X. So that was an instant follow. Instant follow. But on a serious tip though, that is just another thing. This is my takeaway from that. I always have to take something serious. This is a joke, and you have to take it serious. But I do have a serious take from it. That's just another thing on top of the other thing. Social media makes things more cold, where you're not meeting people in person, and guys are just, things are different now. Guys are not. We've done the stats and shown the stats of decreasing birth rates, and what was the stat? Like something like Gen Z, 50% of the dudes never had sex or something like that. I forget the exact stat and generation, but low interaction, sexual interaction. So you got that. Then what percentage of them are faithless? So they're not really even looking to have sex in a way to have children. So then you devalue the woman indirectly through the doll, but even that mentality alone without the doll devalues women a little bit and devalues sex. And you don't need to have it. You don't have faith. You don't believe in a family. Then how many of them are LGBTQ? And to my knowledge, it's hard for a LGBTQ. I'm trying to think what the letters mean, but you could be like Dwight Howard and go, both ways or whatever. I don't think bi's even in it. I don't even know what the letters mean anymore. But you don't have the possibility, unless it's in a lab, of having children that way. Then on top of that, you have virtual reality coming, which we've talked about, which you could put on a headset, glasses, augmented reality. Don't have the touch yet, but maybe you could get gloves and they'll come out with gloves with a little bit of touch, and then you're pretty much good to go on the virtual reality side, which is wild. And that will look, when the graphics get improved, it will be the Matrix where you can't tell the difference. That will happen. There's no question about that. I don't know if it will happen in my lifetime, but it will happen. So you've got all that. Then on top of that, the dolls will they will be cheap at some point. Then you've got the dolls. So you've got challenges going forward to humanity to keep it going. And I think the most important thing for the live men, just leave Dwight Howard alone. Just be peace. Just love. Just leave that bro alone. He never did anything to you. And there shouldn't be any type of problems. He can live his life. It's great. Great to see him live his life. I mean, that's what you want from somebody to live their life however they want to live their life. On that note, I'm going to try to escape up out of here. What's up? Let's see what's going on with I haven't looked at the chat. Dolphins are monsters. Is that for real for the Honor Forge? I never knew that. Is that something they need to start teaching? I don't know. I thought they were just goofy, funny, smart, intelligent mammals. I didn't know that they were that like that. Toy Mafia laughing. We got Toy Mafia. It's so wild up in here. Toy Mafia had to get in. That's a great friend of the show. I mean, Toy Mafia is like, yo, I'm going to work hard for my doll. That's what I'm talking about. I work hard for my baby. Veronica, she don't talk back. She don't do nothing. That nigga was like, I'm tired of women. He was like, I'm tired of, there's a good reason probably why a woman's probably talking to him sideways. He's like, I'm tired of women. He's like, that was his tweet, Toy. He was like, y'all done. Y'all finished. Durag, I think there was some truth in that joke. Be honest. There was some truth in that joke. So he was like, you put a little AI chip behind the ear, get some robotics going. He's like, it's a wrap. You got that bitch doing dishes. You got that bitch making sandwiches. It's a doll. It's a doll. What do you want me to say? Now, the one thing I did say is, watch out, because at some point that thing will be able to put hands on you. Somebody will mess up and they're supposed to make the doll weak and the doll becomes strong or whatever, and then it's some type of Black Mirror episode or something. Man. For the Honor says all female tanks of dolphins are no better. What? Dolphins are wild, are they? Are dolphins really that wild? I never knew. Did you see that? I have to go watch this episode of King of the Hill. Because you know what? When King of the Hill was on, I liked the show. But now I'm looking at like clips and stuff. I'm like, this show was like more brilliant than I really understood at the time. Like, The Simpsons, I knew that it was brilliant. For some reason, King of the Hill kind of escaped me of how brilliant that show was. Here's the meme. Can I make this bigger? Let me just show this. This is the King of the Hill meme. I don't know what they did. I guess somebody fell into a dolphin tank or something. And this is how it looked like on King of the Hill. Come on, bro. They wildin'. I don't know. Is that what happened? Anybody? Any King of the Hill fans? I'm showing it now. I wasn't showing it before. If there's any King of the Hill fans, let me know if this is real. Did they really do this on TV? Did they have Hank? That's Hank, right? Man, this episode went sideways. It went completely in the tank. I gotta get a dad joke out. Oh yeah, Tory Moffat's like, we gotta get Elon on the doll. We need you. We need you now more than ever, bruh. Forget about Mars. Forget about Mars and that ugly Tesla bot. I like that you got the fingers going and all that. We need you on that doll. Tory Moffat's like, I need one ASAP. That doll probably costs $10,000 right now or something like that. This dude was smacking the doll on the ass. I'm like, what is going on? And the ass is jiggling too. It's a trip, yo. This was a trip. Look at this. That's kind of fun. That's kind of like, isn't that brilliant engineering? Women, what would you do without men to come up with and brilliantly come up with this type of engineering to replace your existence? What else would you do? Your services are needed. And this is the doll here. So let's put the smack in slow motion, just so we can be on the same page. The reason it's not smacking out of fun. He's trying to do a demonstration. So you watch the smack in slow motion. It's reverberating. I mean, it's just like, it's jiggling like real life. I don't know, is this real or not? Is this a real doll or not? That's wild, yo. That's wild. They out here wilding, man. Toy Mafia is like, what's the website? Toy Mafia. No, bro, don't put your credit card in, bro. Don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Let that one go. Toy Mafia clowning. Toy Mafia clowning tonight. Toy Mafia said, yo, she will pay for herself in 6 months. Oh man, that's the truth, isn't it? He's like, you know what? I'm actually gonna save on this. So I said, Toy Mafia, don't put the credit card in. He's like, no, bro, I do need to put the credit card in. This is actually a good thing. But that's gonna be like, it's gonna be a household. I mean, as crazy as this sounds, y'all, this is gonna be a household item. I don't know if that's gonna be next year or 50 years from now, but at some point, this will be a household item. It'll be just one of those toys that you got in the toy closet. And ain't nothing wrong with that. Embrace it. Have fun with it. That's what I would recommend. Is the live still up, or did YouTube take it down? I wouldn't blame them. This is one where I'm like, you know what? This is one of those rare times where I would have been like, what's his name? Is it Neil Mohan or whatever? I've been like, Neil, I kind of understand this one. I feel you on this one. This is a little wild. Neil Mohan probably got a collection of those dolls. For the Honor Forge, remember, we're in the Smut program part of it. That disclaimer has been, if you didn't realize already. I, for one, do not support this as an ideal doll as an ideal, though 10K is less expensive than many weddings, yeah? So it could save you. See, that's how you do the infomercial for this. How much does a wedding cost? How much does a divorce cost? Just like Toy Mafia said, how much might this save you from month to month? 6 months, it might pay for itself. Buy one now. It's still live. Oh, it's still live. Okay. Neil, you're not so bad after all. You let adults have adult mature adult conversations. Starting with Joe Biden and the corruption, and then ending with an Asian doll's ass that looks like Meg Thee Stallion. That's the journey we took it. Toy Mafia, I appreciate you, man. I'm out. I gotta get out of here, man. I wanna don't press your luck. Don't overstay your welcome. Thanks a lot, man. That was a good laugh. Toy Mafia, a great friend of the show. Take care, y'all. I'm out.